GALP。
おい大地、ブッシュヒルゴルフパークで会おう。最寄りの駅は地下鉄ビクトリア線のコックフォスターズだよ。ブッシュロード、コックフォスターズ、マジでそんな場所本当にあんの？からかわれてる？絶対からかわれてるよな。もうネットで調べたいのに、ロンドンマジで Wi-Fi 全然ないんだけど、どうなってんの？海外旅行や出張の準備は万全ですか？次回日本を離れる際はグローバル Wi-Fi で安心。イギリスやアメリカを含む200以上の国と地域で Wi-Fi が利用可能。全国39カ所、そして20の空港で便利な受け取りサービスをご用意。さらに128の国と地域で無制限プランも。お得な価格で快適なインターネットを。今すぐタウン Wi-Fi.com にアクセスし、クーポンコード GAL を入力して 10% 割引をゲットしましょう。この番組はグランドスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
I'm in a very interesting mood today because, just so you guys know, there hasn't been many episodes because I've had a stomach infection, which I'm slowly recovering from, and I do have episodes on schedule. I've had to move up some episodes because of this announcement that's apparently come out recently. At China Joy, Koei Tecmo, in fact, Tomohiko Sho had announced new Dynasty Warriors information, including the fact that there is a major DLC coming. Now, I want to do a separate episode on what is going to be in this major DLC. Are we going to see a continuation of the story? If it's going to be major DLC, then I assume it's going to be continuation of the main story past Cherby, because there's a lot missing from Dynasty Warriors Origins in terms of characters, in terms of story. So we might be seeing every year or so a major portion of DLC coming out, kind of akin to an Extreme Legends type thing. So I always kind of suggested that from the beginning, and I think that's what we're going to see, to be fair. Especially in this generation, it gives Koei a bit more time before they can sort of release their next mainline title. Another thing that I also suggested that gives Koei more time for their next mainline title would be Shin Sangoku Musou Remastered Collection, or a Dynasty Warriors Remastered Collection. For those in America, it's known as Dynasty Warriors, but we're going to be calling it Dynasty Warriors. I am going to be thanking our sponsors on this one. We've got some wonderful sponsors for this episode, including Ninja Wi-Fi. It's a service that we use when we are in Japan as well. It's something that I've tried and tested, and we've built a great relationship with them over the years. So go and check them out. If you want Wi-Fi in Japan, they are the #1 company to go to. And if you use the code GAL, you get 20% off. Anyway, back onto the episode. I didn't do my normal disclaimer because I just wanted to talk about what is the possibility, what's going on. China Joy, I believe, is kind of similar to TGS, but it is in China, and it's basically there to show off the best of Chinese developers and things like that. And obviously Koei does have a presence at China Joy because they have development teams in China, but also they have games that are set in China. We're talking about Wolong series, or Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or Dynasty Warriors. But what are we talking about? In a previous episode, I did mention Tomohiko Sho, how he was excited and how he wanted to bring back a Dynasty Warriors in form of a remake or remaster. And we got an announcement at China Joy with a little bit of a trailer. It was basically showing off gameplay footage from all of these older Dynasty Warriors games, as well as Origins. I think they basically showed gameplay from all of them. I didn't see gameplay from Dynasty Warriors 3, and I didn't see gameplay from Dynasty Warriors 4. It was 2, it was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Origins. So why didn't they show the other two? I mean, Dynasty Warriors 3 and Dynasty Warriors 2 are very similar games. Obviously, Dynasty Warriors 3 has more content, etc. And I don't know, I always felt Dynasty Warriors 4 was more beloved compared to Dynasty Warriors 5. I think a lot of the American audience and North American audience did prefer Dynasty Warriors 5. And I think a lot of the Europeans, especially in the UK, really related to Dynasty Warriors 4 for some reason. Like I mentioned it in the previous episode that a lot of people that I knew that weren't even into Dynasty Warriors remember Dynasty Warriors 4 very fondly because it was a badass game. So yeah, we'd established in a previous episode that Koei does have the rights for these games and have had the rights since 2005, but they weren't mentioning anything, and probably because they didn't know, or they knew it and they didn't want people to snoop around thinking, oh, that they're going to do a remastered version. Every time I've spoken to Koei about remaster, it was always like, oh, I can't say anything, or I don't really know anything about it. But they knew. Of course they knew, because obviously they have to kind of promote these things very far in advance. If we're going to get a remaster, actually we are getting remaster. It's actually said it in the trailer, and it's a remaster. It's not a remake, which is good. A remaster kind of worries me a little bit. Are we going to get a remaster in the same way that we got remasters for Capcom's Sengoku Basara series, which basically kept the games at the same aspect ratio and just improved the textures and things, right? They didn't necessarily improve camera angles or anything like that, or character models. They kind of remained the same. It was kind of upscaled. Or are we going to see AI upscaling, as we saw with Persona 4 Golden and with Persona 3 Portable? If we're going to see AI upscaling, then I'd rather not want this game series at all. I know it sounds really bad, because it's like, oh, bish, but you were hyping up this series along with a lot of other great Dynasty Warriors content creators. You know, why don't you want to see this? I think AI upscaling would ruin this title completely, because bear in mind, a lot of the game's charms were, you know, the quirky polygons and, you know, janky animations and movesets and, you know, the nostalgia of it. And I think also AI kind of smoothed out things way too much. Currently, the way I play these games, I still play these games on the original PlayStation 2. And that's how I do it. And I enjoy it. Do I use some sort of upscaling system myself? I do. I have like HDMI upscalers and stuff. And the games are upscaled to like 720, which looks quite decent. I don't think I'll ever like get to play a Dynasty Warriors game in 4K, in true 4K. I mean, Origins, but like the older games, right? And I don't want to. But here's the thing. Koei has assets that are made for HD. And you're like, what? Yeah, they do. They have remade maps, one-to-one recreations for Dynasty Warriors 7 for the DLC. And I clearly remember that. And I was like, hell yeah, this is amazing. They even did weapon remakes, as in like DLC weapons for those maps as well. I think they also did weapon skins as well, like old school weapon skins. And also, I think since Dynasty Warriors 7, they were doing like weapon and character skins as well. And those character skins have kind of made its way even to like Dynasty Warriors 8. They kind of reuse assets. We know that. That's Koei. I'm not going to shame them for that. For a totally different episode. But I'm just excited. I'm just really excited for the aspect of it. Which games are we going to see remake? There's two options that Koei could really do here. They can go all out and give us a full-on remake. Remaster, because it's not a remake. Koei could give us a full-on remaster of Dynasty Warriors 2 to 7. And you're like, whoa, bitch, that sounds intense. Why even give us 7? You have to remember, Dynasty Warriors 2 up until 5 were PS2 titles. We're not technically in HD. And Dynasty Warriors 6 and 7 and somewhat 8, because obviously 8 has got a PS4 port, but 6 and 7 didn't get PS4 ports, and so there is no reliable way of still playing those games. I believe that technically you can play them on like the PlayStation Plus collection, technically, but you're not actually playing that game on your console. You're streaming that game from Sony's servers, and at any time that game can get lost effectively. So yeah, they could give us one. I say one. The reason I said one was because technically it's Shin Sangoku Musou. So the first Shin Sangoku Musou game is Dynasty Warriors 2. So they can give us from 2 to 7. That would be insane. I don't think Koei would go that far, but that would be like best case scenario, 2 to 7 in one package, and then just charge us like $100, maybe 120. I'd gladly play that for, 6 games. That would be insane in terms of value prospect, right? And the games aren't that large, so you can probably fit all of them on one single disc. You can keep it at least under 100 gigs, or they could release them gradually. So Shin Sangoku Musou, it's 25th anniversary, so that would be Dynasty Warriors 2. And then when Dynasty Warriors 4 or 3 gets its 25th anniversary, they could release those games as remasters, etc., etc. So they can basically Hansel and Gretel us for these remasters. I don't think Koei would do that because I think it would piss off a lot of people. I think Koei, what they're most likely to do is give us a set of remasters first and then another set. So they'll probably do Dynasty Warriors 2 to 5 as its own sort of HD remastered collection set. So the PS2 games. And then they'll give us 6 and 7 in one sort of thing because those are bigger games, right? And they'll probably include all DLCs and all that kind of stuff. Now, here's the question. Are they going to give us Empires? Are they going to give us Extreme Legends? What are they going to give us in terms of content? Now, that could even go even further down, right? They could even split it out per game, like I mentioned before. But if they did that, and this is my personal opinion, if they were going to split it per game, then they should really be giving us Extreme Legends included and a Empires included as well. I don't think they'll do that though. I think the best way of them doing this at the moment is splitting it as 2 to 5 and then 6 and 7 as 2 separate games. I'd love it if it was one whole game. But the reason why I say that is because I think and I hope that at least we'll be getting Extreme Legends content bundled in. And you might be thinking, what? How are you going to do Mixed Joy? How's that going to work? Well, they could override Mixed Joy. A lot of people, even modders on the PS2, have figured out ways to override Mixed Joys and actually bundle the game together. And I'm sure Koei could do that. Include the content from Extreme Legends into the base game. So all the extra modes, all the extra characters, all the extra content, because effectively that's DLC before DLC existed. It's an expansion game, effectively. And they could just include that. I think that would be really cool. So imagine if you're playing Dynasty Warriors 5, you get all of the Extreme Legends content in there. And yeah, if they wanted to be amazing, then they could include Empires as its own separate side game on there as well. Which makes sense because I do know that Empires games had save game compatibility. So it knew that if your save titles were there, they would use like the stats and stuff from your previous mainline save titles and kind of go off that, really, I guess. So yeah, that's what Koei could do. I think if they did that, they would be like legends amongst the community. I did want to address one thing that when I did say this, people kind of made fun of me and they were like, no, Bish, that's not going to happen and get your head out your ass and all of that. I just want to remind people, and I don't want to sound cocky here, but I've been making Dynasty Warriors content since I've been making content for the past 15 years. I dedicated 15 years of my life to making Musou content, specifically Dynasty Warriors content. You know, I know a lot of Dynasty Warriors stuff. Some people have even considered me as like a historian with regards to Koei games, etc. So I know my stuff. I'm not here to brag. I know how Koei operates, right? I've been working with Koei for the past 15 years. We've been to their offices in the UK. We've worked with Koei Japan on some projects as well. So I know how they operate. And I knew that this game was coming because it's predictable. Koei are not going to miss out on a anniversary title, right? This was pretty much the only thing that they could do for an anniversary title. We got Dynasty Warriors 9 as part of an anniversary title. We got Musou All-Stars with Zhao Kang as an anniversary title. So, you know, this just made sense, and it was something that the community was talking about, and it was something that we had mentioned to Koei on numerous occasions, and we were told, don't worry, we're looking into it. And they looked into it and they've decided to make it a thing. So I'm very happy by this news. And I think that we're going to see this on the PlayStation 5. We're definitely going to see this on the Switch and Switch 2. And I'm going to go out there and say we're going to see this on PS4 because there's a lot of people in certain regions of the world that don't have access to the PS5 and still have access to a PS4 that I think Koei still makes a lot of money from. Are we going to see like heavy localization for these games? These localizations already exist, so I don't see why not Koei could give us English localization for these games, keeping the same voice actors. If they have some sort of dispute with voice actors or whatever, Koei could just basically not give us those English voices. I would like to see English voices as a base, but also the ability to change languages. and change voice languages as well. Because in Europe, and this is something that back in the day why we got these games kind of delayed release, because they had to be localized in English and then in German and in French and in Spanish and in some cases Italian as well. And so you got multiple dubs. Jacob even mentioned it that there was a German dub for a lot of these older games. I think up until 5. I don't think 6 got a German dub, but I think up until Dynasty Warriors 5, a lot of these PS2 titles, especially in Europe, had a lot of support for different languages back then. Because I don't think English was very common in terms of speaking English for video games, right? So yeah, there was a lot of language support back then. So I think that, you know, if that already exists, then yeah, hell yeah, let's get those back. I'd also like to see Arabic language support as well, if not Arabic language voiceovers, but Arabic language subtitles at least as a minimum, as well as Korean. I believe that there are Korean language versions of Dynasty Warriors on the PS2 days with Korean dubs, and I've never seen any footage of these Korean dubs, and I'm looking to find Korean versions of Shinsango Kumuso, so that I can test it out whether or not there is actual Korean dubs for these games. Now, if there is, that'll be great, and let's see that included. And you know what? Let's see like Chinese dubs as well, like Mandarin dubs, Cantonese dubs, because that's another thing. I think a lot of people will have access to Shinsango Kumuso, the original games, for the first time, especially in the Chinese market. So that's going to be a big thing for Koei, and it is a big thing for Koei. Otherwise, they wouldn't have announced it at China Joy. So there you go. Koei, we wish you well on this. And Tomohiko Shaw, you know, I'm very proud of the stuff that he's been doing, like even his tweets. He's very open. He doesn't tweet in English, but he will like and respond in Japanese. I have had him respond to a couple of our tweets in the past before, including tweets where I reach out to him and I say, hey, come on the podcast. And he's liking it. And I'm like, I'm showing it to Koei. I'm like, Koei, he's liking my tweets. You know, let's bring him on. But the way it works with Koei is that you don't really have direct contact with Japanese officers unless you speak Japanese. So I have to go through European officers. And when I was in Japan in February, I said, hey, can we speak to Tomohiko Sho about Dynasty Warriors Origins? Because Dynasty Warriors Origins had just released at that point. And I was told, no, Koei is very busy. Omega Force is very busy with the upcoming release of Warriors Abyss. And I was like, bruh, what the Warriors Abyss? That game is pretty much already done. Like, what? And it kind of annoyed me a little bit. But most likely what it was they didn't want me snooping around and finding information on a remaster. So good on you, Koei, for that, because I would have found out if I had gone to that office that day. And yeah, I'm glad that we're getting it. And I'm glad we're listening to community, because honestly, we had gotten to a point where, and I think it happened this year, right? Every year since Dynasty Warriors 8, we were like, when are we getting a remaster? When are we going to get remasters? When are we getting remasters? Since Dynasty Warriors 8. And I think the main reason that was because they had teased some stuff back in Dynasty Warriors 7, right? With that DLC. So us old school people are just begging for remasters because, you know, we're getting old. We need some nostalgia in our lives. And believe me, I think it was getting to the point where we were losing faith in the series. I know I was. Origins brought me back to the series a bit more, but Dynasty Warriors 9 ruined Dynasty Warriors for me. So I was losing a lot of faith in the series, and bringing it back, I'm very happy now. So I'm going to go back, and in excitement, I'm going to play all of those games in the original Japanese because I bought them in Japan, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to get that nostalgia from there. And then when remasters come out, you best know I'm going to be reviewing it, and I'm going to give it 10 out of 10s. If the games are exactly the same, they are definitely getting 10 out of 10s for me. And I'm going to do extended content. And Koei, if you're listening, I love you guys. And you know I love you guys. So GG. Thank you for actually doing this and actually making the fans, especially the older fans, because we kind of felt a bit shafted over the years. The older Dynasty Warriors fans, the fans that have a lot of the money now, right? We've got a lot of disposable income now because a lot of us have jobs now. You're making us really happy. So thanks, Koei. We'll see you guys on the next episode of GALP, which I can't even remember what episode it is because they're all on a schedule now. So I had to interrupt this episode into that schedule, which kind of messes up the schedule, but Dynasty Warriors takes precedent, right? Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week.